a government order issued on the 22nd of February 1962. This is the 22nd of February 1962, an office order issued by the Government of India, which reads that the Union Government has set up the Indian National Committee for Space Research. The committee set up on the recommendations of the Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet will advise the government on the promotion of research in and exploration of space and its utilization of peaceful purposes. India's glorious space journey began on the 22nd of February 1962, which was marked by the establishment of the Indian National Committee on Space Research. There were two people who were responsible for getting this INCOSPAR set up. Both were the great scientists of India. One was Homi Bhabha, who was then the chairman of the Scientific Advisory to the Committee to the Cabinet, and the second was Vikram Sarabhai, a great name, a man who had a vision for Indian space, and I expected the Honorable Leader of the House at least to make a passing mention of Vikram Sarabhai. Sir, I'm not yielding. I'm not yielding.
Please.
Sir, it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks before INCOSPAR was set up that the Prime Minister of India, the then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, went to Ahmedabad to visit the physical research laboratory that was created by Vikram Sarabhai way back in 1947. Sir, this is a photograph I have of Pandit Nehru with Vikram Sarabhai and E.V. Chitnis. In the old Parliament House, you could have seen this photograph. But in this new Parliament House, we need a telescope to see each other. I don't have a telescope, sir, but you can take me for my word. This is a photograph of the Prime Minister of India with Vikram Sarabhai and Professor E.V. Chitnis, who is 97 years old and is still alive. He is one of the key figures in this space journey. And in fact, Professor Chitnis's greatest contribution to our space program was the recruitment of a young engineer from the Madras Institute of Technology named APJ Abdul Kalam. Sir, after the establishment of INCOSPAR on the 22nd of February 1962, the second milestone in this glorious space journey was on the 21st of November 1963, when India launched its sounder rocket from Thumba, near Trivandrum. This was called TERLS, the Thumba Equatorial Research Launching Station. This was the first sounding rocket launched way back on the 21st of November 1963. And this was made possible because of Vikram Sarabhai, because of H.G.K. Murthy, because of the Abdul Kalam, because of E.V. Chitnis, and a large number of scientists and technologists. So ISRO was created on the 15th of August 1969. This was when Vikram Sarabhai created the Indian Space Research Organization to give a developmental boost to the Indian space program. So the Indian space program is the only program in the world that has not come out of the military sector. It has been a civilian program all through. The Indian space program is the only program to have a developmental thrust, the use of space for remote sensing, the use of space for rural development, the use of space for communication, for weather forecasting. This is being the hallmark of India's space program going back to the creation of ISRO on the 15th of August 1969. So, on the 25th of December 1971, unfortunately Vikram Sarabhai passed away very suddenly at the young age of 52. He died of a heart attack in Kovalam Beach near Trivandrum. The Indian space program was then faced with a huge crisis. It had lost its Karta Data, it had lost its Nirmata, it had lost its visionary, Vikram Sarabhai, who had lived and dreamt of India as a space power. It was then that the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, took what I consider to be the most important step that has made India the space power that we are all proud of today. So she wrote a letter to an Indian scientist who was then taking a sabbatical at the famous California Institute of Technology in Pasadena in California. The name of this scientist is Satish Dhawan, and it is in his honor that our launch center in Sriharikota is called the Satish Dhawan Launch Center. So, Indira Gandhi wrote a letter on the 7th of January 1972, and I wish to quote a few lines from this letter. This is the Prime Minister of India writing, "Dear Dr. Dhawan, Vikram's sudden and tragic death has deprived our entire space research program of leadership. You are aware of the heavy investment we have made in it. The 10-year profile of the development of space shows the extent of our commitment. We cannot afford to allow the entire organization to crumble. I should like you to accept the stewardship of our space program, which I am proposing to separate from the Atomic Energy Commission. Till 1972, space and atomic energy were together. But it is in 1972 that space gets separated from the Atomic Energy Commission. It will be for you to structure this new organization. Please let me know urgently when I may expect you to return and what arrangements you would like us to make for the interim period. I hope you will respond to an emergency situation in a sensitive area of national importance." This is a letter written by the Prime Minister of India to a scientist taking a sabbatical in California, who was then the director of the Indian Institute of Science, Satish Dhawan. Sir, Satish Dhawan immediately accepted the offer of the Prime Minister. He put some conditions that he would like ISRO to be headquartered in Bangalore. He would not like to be posted in New Delhi, that he would like to continue as the director of the Indian Institute of Science, and he would like full freedom to run ISRO the way it should be run. The Prime Minister of India accepted and acceded to all these conditions. So when he came back to India, when he took over as chairman of ISRO, her secretary, Mr. P.N. Haksar, sent Mrs. Gandhi a note. And I was fortunate enough to get a copy of this note in the archives. And Mr. Haksar wrote on the 25th of May 1972 to the Prime Minister, "Dr. Satish Dhawan is an extremely sensitive human being. Hitherto, he has led a relatively cloistered life, devoting himself to the pursuit of his own scientific specialty in the field of aerodynamics. I know he has many doubts and hesitations in accepting the responsibility of heading our space organization. And if he were to opt out of it, we literally have no one at present as the second best choice. It is therefore of vital importance that our Prime Minister should express in her own way her appreciation of the high sense of duty which has led Dr. Dhawan to respond to the PM's call to him. It is equally necessary to say that Dr. Dhawan will continue to receive her personal support in sorting out any problems he may run up against any administrative and other fields, and that Dr. Dhawan should not hesitate in coming to the Prime Minister, and that he will always have direct access. So it is from this day onwards that Prime Ministers of India have held direct control of the Department of Space. It is from this day onwards that the chairman of ISRO, the chairman of the Space Commission, the Secretary Department of Space, 3 roles combined in one individual, have only reported to the Prime Minister and nobody else. So the glorious space journey that the leader of the House wants us to believe started in 2014. The first milestone was on the 22nd of February, 1962. The glorious journey that the leader of the House wants us to believe started in 2014, had its second milestone on the 15th of August, 1969, with the creation of ISRO. The glorious journey that the leader of the House wants us to believe begins in 2014, had its third milestone in 1972, July, when Satish Dhawan became the chairman of ISRO. Sir, the success of Chandrayaan-3 is based on the competencies, the capabilities, the capacities that have been created over a 60-year period. We launched satellites, but we first launched satellites on Soviet rockets. We did not have a satellite launch vehicle. In July of 1979, our first SLV launch failed. Dr. Kalam was in tears. So Dr. Satish Dhawan said, "I am your leader. I will take responsibility for the failure. You sit at the back." That is leadership. In August of 1980, the SLV-3 succeeded. Dr. Dhawan said to Kalam, "Kalam, you take credit for this. I will sit at the back." This is leadership. Leadership is not taking credit when things are going good and run away when the things are going bad. Leadership is when you have the courage to take the responsibility for things that are going wrong as much as you take credit when things are going right.